going on, everybody? Back. Let's go this way. There we go. All right, I'm Ari Temkin, live in Oxnard, California, Cowboys training camp. So I was set up in a good spot with a good table. The problem was I was directly in the sun, and so basically all of my devices were overheating. So as soon as I hit go live, it was like, oh God, none of it's gonna work. It's all overheating. So, anyways, that's the delay. But I appreciate everybody being a part of this broadcast. Again, I am live 3 times a day from Cowboys camp. If you think that's too much, well then you shouldn't be watching this, because nobody would think 3 times a day streaming live after Cowboys practice would be too much. So today would be broadcast 2. We had the walkthrough earlier today, offense and defense. Again, in years past, if you aren't familiar with how practice works at training camp, traditionally teams will do one walkthrough per day, which is an hour long, and then they're more intensive 1.5, 2 hour practice. But they'll do them, some do them in the morning and then the walkthrough in the afternoon. The Cowboys do their morning walkthrough, and then every afternoon, late afternoon, they do their big practice, the 7-on-7, the 11-on-11, physical pads, that kind of stuff. So, for me, the walkthrough is interesting because you get to notice some trends and things that maybe you're not looking forward to watching for big hits in some of the afternoon practices. But yeah, so that's what we had. We're reacting out of the afternoon walkthrough. I had talk with Scott Linehan. So I think there were some interesting things there. Brittany Nicole says hi. Hi, Brittany Nicole. Joe Trachina in the house. What's going on, everybody? Hit the share button. And then post your comments and questions. That's basically the format is I'll give you my thoughts on practices, and then you kind of tell me what you'd like to have answered. And, hit the share button, tag friends of yours that are Cowboys fans that might also enjoy this. You may think, hey, why are you doing 3 streams a day? That's a lot. Well, that's because there's a lot of things to get through. And, quite frankly, if I didn't do sort of the morning practice reaction like I'm doing right now, then some of the stuff that I noticed from this practice will get lost in the fold when it comes to what happens in the afternoon practice. So it's important, okay? It's not too much. Stop arguing with me. By the way, I'm Ari Temkin from 105.3 The Fan, the Dallas Cowboys radio network. I will be part of the pregame show, postgame show with Jesse Holly. It's going to be a lot of fun. Dante D-Nice Wilcher says, yo. What up, Dante? How are you? Everybody hit the share button. Let me just kind of check through other pages we're broadcasting live on. Dallas Cowboys America's Team page. The Dallas Cowboys Report. Law Nation. Shout out Lawrence Thomas. And Big Game James. Silver and Blue Nation. Producer G. Dallas Prospect. Jobu Sports Report. G. Garcia wants to know who caught my eye. Randy Gregory. Randy Gregory was out there for the walkthrough this morning, guys. So we were wondering when Randy Gregory was going to practice with the team. That happened today. The big question will be, will he be in the fully padded practice later on this afternoon? But Gregory was out there. He was actually lined up as the starting right defensive end. So Randy Gregory, Randy Maddox says hi. Hey, Randy Maddox, how are you? Randy Gregory right now lined up in today's practice on the opposite end of DeMarcus Lawrence, who is the starting left defensive end. Then they had Jihad Ward next to Randy Gregory at the interior, and Tyrone Crawford next to him. So that was their starting defensive line through the walkthrough today that they ran when they ran, the walkthrough with the defense and with the when they went up against the offense again in without pads on. So Joe Trachina says I could listen all day. Great show. Thank you. I appreciate that. There you go. So Joe at least appreciates. G. Garcia, I know, appreciates my 3 live streams per day. Valerie Alvara says thumbs up. Thumbs up, Valerie. Yeah, so ask your questions. That's how this whole thing works. I'll kind of go through some of the things that I noticed. Practice. Randy Gregory is obviously the big thing. Gregory's missed so much time. I understand the need to ease him in, or the want to ease him in, but at the same time, this guy needs to be out there with the team, getting snaps, getting reps, being ready to go. But, the fact that he slid right into the right defensive end at the starting with, the ones is very interesting. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, I've got some interesting nuggets that I noticed, but I'm going to get to those in a little bit. Ken Larry, is Beasley still being a beast? Yeah. I think he's a major leader on this. So yesterday I talked to Sanjay Lal, and he talked about the leadership characteristics of a guy like Tavon Austin. But I think, Austin's going to look to Cole Beasley, who's playing a very similar position, a very similar role to him. And I mean, so Tavon, though he's a leader for those wide receivers, I think he's being led in a sense and listening to Cole Beasley. So, those two are sort of exchanging ideas and thoughts a lot today during practice. And look, I mean, I expect a big year out of Cole Beasley. Silver and Blue Nation, is that producer G saying hello? Jessica Haggerty says hello. That's right, showtime. Eric Cushaney gives me the update. Green Bay linebacker Jake Ryan tore his ACL this morning out for the season. That sucks. Giovan Ramirez says stars up. Yeah, you hate to see those soft tissue injuries. Training camp, though, they are part of training camp every year, part of OTAs. It's just the way it works. Football is a battle of attrition in many ways. All right, what else do you guys want to know? Also a reminder, Lucas Lutz wants to know how Zeke is doing. Zeke looks really good. I mean, he's running fine. He's not taking hits, so things are good. I would say I've noticed or he stood out a lot, but it's tough because they're not tackling. Even in the evening practices, maybe they'll start hitting a little bit more now. But we just it's hard to gauge how running backs, how effective they are when they're not really going up against teams trying to tackle them. However, I did make an observation about the running back position in particular with Zeke Elliott, so I might get to that in a little bit. But only if y'all share it and ask your questions. Because I only have like 3 or 4 things to talk about, but I want to go for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So I want to keep some of the notes that I took here on my player card and kind of just answer questions, at least at the outset, and then move on, graduate to here's my points that are going to be made. Plus, I can kind of hold it over a little bit and make you guys share and post questions. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. By the way, I'm Ari Temkin from FANTOM, the New World Order of Sports Media at facebook.com/watch FANTOM. You can also catch me at 105.3 The Fan, the home of the Dallas Cowboys. Turn it on, leave it on. I'm part of the pregame broadcast, pre- and postgame broadcast of the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. So that's who I am, in case you're like, who is this random person showing up on my Facebook timeline? Eric Eugene Prather Jr. says hello. Valerie Elvera says, is Sean Lee skipping preseason? Yeah, I would be very surprised to see him play much at all in the preseason. Maybe a little bit in the second game, a little bit in the third game, and that's it. But, I mean, there's just no need or reason. He's out here. He's a coach. He's going through the walkthroughs. So he's participating as much as he can without putting himself at risk for an injury, which we know with Sean Lee is a big part of his history. So, Valerie, I'd be surprised if we saw him much this preseason. I mean, I expect to see him definitely in Game 3. That's the dress rehearsal in the NFL, or let's at least consider the dress rehearsal. Perhaps a little bit in Game 2 as well, but I don't expect to see him a week from Thursday when the Cowboys kick off the preseason. Was that a week from tomorrow? 8 days from today. Cowboys kick off the preseason against the San Francisco 49ers, so that is going to be a lot of fun. Let's see what else you guys got. Ernest Quintanilla says hello. Ken Larry says, how about Jalen Smith? A good question. So the guys, Sean Sharif and RJ Choppy, did the interview with Jalen Smith after the walkthrough this morning, so I was able to sort of eavesdrop on that. You can hear it tomorrow morning. Make sure you're listening to 105 through the Fan. Turn it on, leave it on. Sean and RJ. They will play the full interview with Jalen Smith, which was really good. Talked a lot about his entrepreneurship. He's very business savvy. He's got a lot of investments. He also has this class that he's starting for entrepreneurs that are part of minority groups. Have to get them access to, just different techniques and aspects to be better at entrepreneurship, building businesses, that sort of thing. Contacts that you probably don't care about if you're caring about the talent side of things and the ability side of things for Jalen Smith. And look, he's Mr. Positivity. Anytime you ask him about his comeback and how he feels and the nerve damage of the knee or the ankle, he gives you the same just unbelievably ultra positive sort of remarks. He says he's gotten rid of the brace. He hasn't had the brace out. It's not in his back pocket. That he's not going to need it. David Fahim says hello. Hello, David. How are you? So, look, we'll see it when the real bullets are flying in the preseason games, the regular season games. If he's still going without the brace, it's an incredible comeback story. I think he's moving well. I still don't know. The brace sort of simulates feeling of the foot dropping out of the ground. Remember, we're talking about nerve damage in his foot. He couldn't feel it. So I still don't know if I believe that he has full nerve regeneration, but it's just the ability to sort of play despite that and have a better feel for it. But look, ultimately, and I'll say this, Katana says he's in a better role this year. That's why they drafted Leighton Vander Esch. Hopefully Sean Lee stays healthy, but those are the guys that play the mic. They can play coverage very well. It's not going to put Jalen Smith in a situation where he's going to have to go sideline to sideline. I think they're going to limit the amount of snaps he sees. He's going to be a blitzer. He's going to be straight line. So I just like the role for him this year. I like the amount of snaps he's going to take this year. I continue to love the attitude. I think last year it was sort of almost over the top how absurdly optimistic and happy and excitable he was, and maybe that's just my sort of own like cynical view of the world. But he's just seems a lot more genuine this year than last year when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that at least indicates some sort of change over in him. But if anybody could overcome it and be successful, it's Jalen Smith. He's got the right attitude. He's got the right makeup, the right mind frame. So, again, I think, will he ever be the linebacker he was? No. But, can he still be an effective player for the Cowboys in the NFL? Absolutely. Pro Bowl, I don't know, but effective, absolutely. Dez stated in his troll tweet against Dallas that coaching lineup the same in all 17 games. What's your take on that? So, Dez is right. But and it's funny because I actually was part of a interview this afternoon with Scott Linehan, Cowboys offensive coordinator, and I mean they've continued to talk about having more guys that are more multiple. They don't have to. He indicated the same thing this afternoon. Sort of we aren't pigeonholed by certain guys having to run specific routes. This is kind of what I talked about yesterday with Sanjay Lal, where he was talking about interchangeable pieces, but more than that, at this point, making them interchangeable pieces, figuring out which guys do what best, and maximizing that, to get the best of everybody. So that's what's going on right now with this team. That the receivers have more, they have more versatility with their receivers. They want to figure out which guys run the best routes, and then put those guys in that position. But certainly, they feel they have more flexibility with their offense and the receiver core. So. It seems like a concerted sort of effort to speak out against the type of situation they had last year relative to Dez and Jason Witten, maybe, where that they couldn't be as creative because they had to maximize those guys, and so I think there's truth in that. So sort of the strength of having those guys, Dez and Witten, was actually potentially a negative. Because they couldn't sort of they had to sort of stick within the guidelines of what those guys did best, and now they don't have those guys, so it's a weakness because they don't have a pronounced number one, but they've got a lot of guys who can play a lot of different roles that they like to have creativity with. William Torberin, I think I kind of just answered your how is the offense looking question. I mean it's a work in progress. It was a lot more fluid today. I'll say that. So I've been to now this is my fourth practice this afternoon. And of the three previous practices that I sat through, there just wasn't a lot of fluidity with the offense. It didn't look as good. Guys were dropping balls, passes were off. Today, the walkthrough offense looked a lot more crisp. Cowboys hit a couple of deep throws with Dak and Allen Hurns without pads on. So it is what it is. But, I mean, even yesterday, without pads on, walkthrough, Dak's missing guys. Guys are dropping passes. So sometimes you sort of overlook what can be just an elementary thing. Nelson Alcala says, go Cowboys. There you go. Which tight end looks good so far? Jarwin and Jeff Swain both look good. Scott Linehan talks up both of them. If there's any of the favorites of those, it's probably Jarwin, but Swain's been lining up the ones. So, do you know who will start as our top three wideouts? Yeah, it'll be Cole Beasley, Allen Hurns, and trying to think who the third. Cole Beasley and Allen Hurns are 1 and 2. And then I guess we've seen Gallup and Tavon out there. Not a lot of Terrence, though. I'll say that, especially with the first team. All right, what else you guys got? I'll go as long as you guys have questions. The thing that I will get into this. Hit the share button, and I can get into everybody hit the share button, and then that way I can get into my topic du jour about getting the running back involved in the passing game and the importance of that. So if everybody will hit the share button, then that would be great. But until everybody does that, then I'm going to continue to answer questions. But ultimately, I want to get to my main topic, which is about the running, what I saw and how it's important for the Cowboys' success. Is LVE still running with the second team from John Dyer on FANTOM? Yes. Which I'm not sure why, but okay. David Fahim, are we going to see different looks this year on offense? I kind of answered that question, I think. G. Garcia, game planning was horrible last year. They never could make in-game adjustments. That still continues to be a problem, I would think, for the Cowboys. All right, here's what I noticed from practice today. So when early on in practice, when there are different stations, so there's 2 fields, there's probably 5 or 6 different stations going in the first part. But what I noticed, what I was watching in particular, was the quarterback, running back situation. So they basically had Dak and all the quarterbacks and Zeke, but it was basically just work between Dak and Zeke. And so the quarterbacks were Dalton Sturm and Cooper Rush and Mike White were all acting as either the defense or a wide receiver. So basically it was just sort of individual work with Dak and Zeke. And, so one of the things that I've been talking about, and I'll give credit to my buddy Warren Sharp, who does fantastic work and, looking at the deep analytics of all this stuff. But so one of the best plays, according to Warren Sharp and the research he's done on first down, is throwing the ball. That on average over the last decade, teams, when they throw the ball on first down, that's worth 7 yards per attempt versus running the ball on first down, which is worth 4 yards per attempt, which is significant, yes? He also found out in his research that throwing to running backs in early down situations is even better, metrically speaking, right? So, like the best play that his research has seen over the last 10 years of NFL football says the best play on first down is to throw to your running back on first down, which is something the Cowboys should do a lot. But what Warren Sharp saw was last year, the Cowboys rarely did that. The Cowboys are one of the worst teams in the NFL in attempts to the running back in early down situations, yards to the running back in early down situations, quarterback rating when they throw to the running back. Just insane. Like they are almost not willing to do it. At least they were last year. So there's an NFL trend that says when you throw to your running back on early down situations, it's the most successful play. The Cowboys have a really good pass-catching running back. They should be throwing to him on early downs, but they don't. They didn't at all last year. So that's something the Cowboys should be doing. But it's not even just about a predictive analytic that says that's the best play you could have. It's also about wear and tear on Zeke, and this is the most important thing. And by the way, I'll get into the tight ends. I see a lot of people now on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page getting into the tight ends. I have a lot to say on the tight ends. Hold that thought. Swaim will start. Swaim and Jarwin are the guys. But what I noticed is as Dak and Zeke were working together this morning, sort of individually, they were doing a lot of zone read stuff, so working on the zone read, pass the ball to the outside. But there were a lot of, Zeke's lined up in the backfield, catching the ball in the backfield. Zeke's lined up in the slot, catch the ball. So they were working on a ton, and this is just something I noticed for and I've been looking for, but they were creating a familiarity with Dak and Zeke in the passing game, and that was so to me it's not just about the effectiveness of that play as a predictive analytic. The other piece to that, and this is really important too, is the wear and tear piece on Zeke. So if you're a running back and you run the football, 1 yard running the ball versus 1 yard catch the ball are not the same from a wear and tear point of view, from a breaking down at the position point of view, right? So, obviously the wear and tear of running backs is well documented. So when they carry the ball, they are, breaking through the line of scrimmage. There's a lot of bodies in there. Legs could get tangled up. So you're more susceptible then because of that to ankle injuries, lower extremity injuries because of all the people in a confined space. On top of that, you've got, the line of scrimmage where there's a lot of physicality, linebackers running in, trying to, hit you as hard as you can. So there is a greater amount of injury risk every running play. When you throw to your running back out of the backfield, it's a one-on-one type situation. So, there's the tangling the legs, lower extremities piece is out of the equation, and also the defensive line linebacker kind of thing. Now, you might be matched up as linebacker out of the backfield with the linebacker out of the backfield, but it's just not the same. The wear and tear that a running back faces carrying the ball versus the wear and tear the running back faces on a production from through the air is vastly different. That's important to note. So it's a better play, but it's a more productive play to call. The Cowboys should be doing it more, and I at least noticed from the sporting practice they were working on that individually with Dak and Zeke. The zone read stuff, but then also having Zeke become an effective pass catcher out of the backfield. Let's see here. All right, so everybody wants to know about Rico Gathers, which I should have expected. Rhino Hack, Eric Wilson. Eric Wilson says Gathers looked great last preseason, rare skills. Everybody is enamored with Rico Gathers. He's not going to make this football team. At least that's where we stand right now. It's early in training camp. There's a lot of football left to be played, but where we are right now, Rico Gathers is not on this team. Blake Jarwin and Jeff Swaim are their first two tight ends. Dalton Schultz, who is a fifth-round draft pick, will not, there's a low likelihood they'll end up cutting him. They're not going to keep four tight ends. I think we've gone a little bit overboard with Rico Gathers, if I'm being honest. Rico, if he's a fan favorite, I get it. He's got rare skills. He's the basketball player. There's a lot of excitement around him, but he has not developed to this part of his career. And if he had, I don't know if it's on the Cowboys or their inability to develop him. I don't know if that's on him, but he's just not moving up the depth chart. He's buried in the depth chart. He's third right now, but only because Dalton Schultz isn't here. But Schultz was just drafted. They're not going to cut Schultz in his first training camp. They can cut Gathers. So, I get it. I get the excitement. But until we see him move up that depth chart, the Cowboys, he's buried on that depth chart. So the Cowboys don't like what they see from him. Right now, the guys everybody's talking about first and second on their depth chart is Jeff Swaim and Blake Jarwin. Jonathan Bostic says, let's talk defense. Lucas Lutz says, you mean defense with an S, with this S? Jonathan, are you from Europe? Because I feel like defense with a C is a European thing. By the way, I'm Ari Temkin. Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm in Oxnard, California at the River Ridge Complex, a beautiful facility for the Dallas Cowboys. You can hear me on 105.3 The Fan, the Turn It On, Leave It On station, and the home of the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. And I'm also part of the pregame broadcasts with the great Jesse Holley, the great Brad Sham, Babe Laufenberg, Christy Scales, all of the fantastic people that put together what, in my opinion, the greatest play-by-play broadcast in all of sports. So excited to be a part of that this year. And right now, coming to you live from Cowboys camp. I'm doing these shows 3 times per day, answering your questions post-practice from training camp. Had my earlier show earlier about 12 o'clock Central, and then this one after their morning walkthrough, which we're seeing now is between 2:30 and 3 Central. It's starting. And then I'll do another one tonight, probably about 9 o'clock Central post-evening practice. So make sure to follow along. Jab CJ in the house. What up, Josh Phillips? How's Denver treating you? John Dyer says Rico Mania is running wild. I think that's fair to say. I think I average more Rico questions than any other player when I do these streams. And I get it, but I'm not sure why he's not developing. I don't have a good answer for you. He had the concussion last year, that there was some confusion either from his side or from the Cowboys side of whether or not he was going to play. I don't think they've liked the way he's developed in any capacity other than as a pass catcher. And remember, he hadn't played football since high school. He's to go from that to playing in the NFL, sustaining hits. Like, that's the thing I think we're underappreciating is just how insane it is if you've never experienced a hit on the National Football League. If you've ever been on a sideline, that's as close as I've got to being hit by an NFL player. It's like a car crash. It's insane. So if you've never experienced that, and he hasn't. Preseason football is not NFL football. Eric Wilson says, what great coverage. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you saying that. Make sure to like the page at facebook.com/watchphantom, FANTOM. You can see the logo here in the bottom right corner of your screen. But also, thank you to our friends and all of our partners at Phantom, the Dallas Cowboys Report, Dallas Cowboys America's Team, Silver and Blue Nation, Law Nation, all the great work that they all do. If you're looking for good Cowboys content, FANTOM, Law Nation, Silver and Blue Nation, the Cowboys Report, Dallas Cowboys America's Team. Shout out to my buddy Michael Petty, who does great work for Dallas Cowboys America's Team, the Dallas Cowboys War Room page, a group. So thanks to all that for helping us spread all of our coverage here from training camp through the social channels on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Periscope. I also want to remind you, by the way, so we've got a really cool thing going on with BetDSI.com. If you bet on the NFL, you're looking to play some action, get on the games, have some fun. Go to BetDSI, that's BetDSI.com, and use the promo code FANTOM, FANTOM. There you can get up to $2,500 in your first deposit. So they're going to match it up to $2,500. So go make a deposit at BetDSI.com, use the promo code FANTOM, FANTOM, and make your initial deposit. Here's the other thing, though. You got to get in on the Phantom Football Forum with NFL insider Benjamin Albright. This guy's plugged into the NFL, and the Phantom Football Forum will give you some insight that he's not going to share on Twitter, that he's not going to make public. It's sort of private info that will help you in your endeavors on BetDSI.com. So check it out. BetDSI.com, promo code FANTOM, and make sure to check out the Phantom Football Forum with Benjamin Albright and all this cool stuff going on there. All right, let me check out the Silver Blue Nation page. On my way to camp, West Coast tomorrow, trade him to San Diego. Is that a big game? Is that you, buddy? Commenting on the Silver and Blue Nation page. And Producer G, you guys are both going to be out here in Oxnard. Can't wait to catch up with all these guys making their way out. Joe Boo will be here today. Going to catch up with Tyson, the West Coast Cowboy, a little bit later on. So, and a reminder again, 9 o'clock Central, that'll be the big stream we'll do tonight after this evening practice where there's a lot going on. But for now, post your questions. I'll answer as many as I can. Jimmy Palacio says, how's the Williams injury coming along? You talk about T-Will? He's out there. He's fine. He's been practicing. He's good. He's good to go. T-Will's fine. No injury. Shane Jaco says, how do you think the exit of Dez will affect our offense without a number one receiver that'll be double covered? What will put more pressure on our receivers? Yeah, I mean, look, it's they have more of an interchangeable sort of rotation of wide receivers. It's something that I talked to Sanjay Lal about yesterday. It's something I talked about with Scott Linehan today about, so they are getting guys, in all different kinds of positions to figure out where they are at their best. And so they've got Cole Beasley on the inside. They've got him on the outside. They've got Allen Hurns on the inside. They've got Allen Hurns on the outside. Taylor Austin. So I mean, they're just trying to figure out where all these guys fit, and they're going to be all interchangeable pieces all across the formation. So I think because of that, plus how effective their running game will be, it's going to be different. It's timing routes, and Linehan pointed this out. This is a West Coast offense, guys. So they're not about the big play. They're about winning the battle to win the war kind of offense. They're short play, short passes, timing routes. That's what their offense is going to be. Scott Linehan brought this up when I asked him about, will they have longer drives by design? And basically alluded to the fact that when they've been at their best in recent history, they've had, time of possession's been long. There's a high time of possession, meaning they possess the football, they're in more control of the offense, they're dictating, so they're keeping their defense off the field. So that's the kind of offense they're going to have this year. The other thing, by the way, Tony Wise was at practice today. Tony Wise, you may or may not know who he is. Longtime offensive line coach in the NFL. At one point, has been offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. Was with the Cowboys for a long period of time. Very well respected. So I was kind of eavesdropping on his discussion on going throughout camp, and just some really interesting insight from Tony Wise, who is a brilliant offensive mind, especially from an offensive line coach standpoint. So it was cool to see Tony Wise at camp earlier. Dan Tranchina. Do you know Joe Tranchina? Do you think Lance Lenoir has a good chance to make the roster? I do, but the Cowboys have some issues as far as, is Noah Brown going to make this team? He made this team last year. So they basically have, and I've talked about this a lot, but I'll continue to hammer it home since you guys continue to ask, and I'll answer all your questions because that's what I do. Just as long as you hit the share button and help me out, I'll answer your questions. But what was I talking about? Hold on. Sorry. I'm stupid. Dan Tranchina's question. I got to go back. So Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, Terrence Williams, Michael Gallup. Those guys are going to make the team, right? Austin, 5. Well, they're not going to keep 7. Maybe they'll keep 7. But 6th guy is Deontay Thompson. 7th guy, Lance Lenoir, Noah Brown. So basically they're either going to keep 1 or 2 of Deontay Thompson, Lance Lenoir, Noah Brown. So, I mean, they brought in Deontay Thompson as a free agent. You figured he was a lock to make this team. Noah Brown made the team last year. Lance Lenoir has been a guy that a lot of people are high on. Will McClay is one of them. So it's interesting. They've got a log jam seemingly at the wide receiver position. So let's see here. Aaron Myers. I'd like to see the safety and corner that were drafted free agents get some playing time. Likelihood of them making the team. I'd like to see Navarro Bowman get in the squad. Is there any free agents that Dallas might be looking at? How's the secondary looking? It's a lot of questions. So I guess the short answer here is, there are certainly some opportunities for their safeties, guys that they undrafted at safety, to make this roster because they don't have many numbers at safety. Corner, though, is loaded. Chidobe Awuzie is the number 1. He's looking every piece of the number 1 corner. Byron Jones, Anthony Brown, Jordan Lewis. So then Marquez White. So, I mean, Duke Johnson maybe, or Duke Thomas, I should say, maybe. So they seem to be fine and set at the cornerback position. The biggest question mark, and if they go out in free agency, could be the safety position, which, I don't know if they will. Obviously, there's still talks about Earl Thomas, so we'll see if that happens. But that's at least my point of view on it. All right, I'm going to get out of here. A reminder to check this out. I'll be live again tonight after their evening practice, probably about 9 o'clock Central. So make sure to check it out right here on FANTOM at Facebook.